Alexandre Dumas' The Count of Monte Cristo, Chapter 2, Father and Son. We will leave Donclair struggling with the demon of hatred, endeavoring to insinuate in the ear of the shipowner some evil suspicions against his comrade, and follow Dantès, who, after having traversed Le Conspired, took the Rue de Noailles and entered a small house on the left of the Allée des Meaux, rapidly ascending 4 flights of a dark staircase. Holding the baluster with one hand, while with the other he repressed the beatings of his heart, and paused before a half-open door, from which he could see the whole of a small room. This room was occupied by Dante's father. The news of the arrival of the Pharaon had not yet reached the old man, who, mounted on a chair, was amusing himself by training with trembling hands the nasturtiums and sprays of clematis that clambered over the trellis at his windows. Suddenly he felt an arm thrown around his body, and a well-known voice behind him exclaimed, "Father! Dear father!" The old man uttered a cry and turned around. Then, seeing his son, fell into his arms, pale and trembling. "What ails you, my dear father? Are you ill?" inquired the young man, much alarmed. "No, no, my dear Edmond. My boy, my son, no, but I did not expect you to enjoy the surprise of seeing you so suddenly. I feel as if I were going to die." "Come, come, cheer up, my dear father. 'Tis I, really I. They say joy never hurts, and so I came to you without any warning. Come now, do smile instead of looking at me so solemnly. Here, I am back again, and we are going to be happy." "Yes, yes, my boy, so we will, so we will," replied the old man. "But how shall we be happy? Shall you never leave me again? Come, tell me all the good fortune that has befallen you." "God forgive me," said the young man, "for rejoicing at happiness derived from the misery of others, but heaven knows I did not seek this good fortune. It has happened, and I really cannot pretend to lament it. The good Captain Leclerc is dead, father, and it is probable that, with the aid of Monsieur Morel, I shall have his place. Do you understand, father? Only imagine me a captain at 20, with 100 louis pay, and a share in the profits. Is this not more than a poor sailor like me could have hoped for?" "Yes, my dear boy," replied the old man, "it is very fortunate." "Well, then, with the first money I touch, I mean you to have a small house, with a garden in which to plant clematis, nasturtiums, and honeysuckle. But what ails you, father? Are you not well?" "'Tis nothing, nothing. It will soon pass away." And as he said so, the old man's strength failed him, and he fell backwards. "Come, come," said the young man, "a glass of wine, father, will revive you. Where do you keep your wine?" "No, no, thanks. You need not look for it. I do not want it," said the old man. "Yes, yes, father, tell me where it is." And he opened 2 or 3 cupboards. "It is of no use," said the old man. "There is no wine." "What? No wine?" said Dantès, turning pale and looking alternately at the hollow cheeks of the old man and the empty cupboards. "What? No wine? Have you wanted money, father?" "I want nothing now that I have you," said the old man. "Yet," stammered Dantès, wiping the perspiration from his brow, "yet I gave you 200 francs when I left 3 months ago." "Yes, yes, Edmond, that is true. But you forgot at the time a little debt to our neighbor, Cadros. He reminded me of it, telling me if I did not pay for you, he would be paid by Mr. Monreal, and so, you see, lest he might do you an injury." "Well, I paid him." "But," cried Dantès, "it was 140 francs I owed Cadros." "Yes," stammered the old man. "And you paid him out of the 200 francs I left you?" The old man nodded. "So that you lived for 3 months on 60 francs," muttered Edmond. "You know how little I require," said the old man. "Heaven pardon me," cried Edmond, falling on his knees before his father. "What are you doing? You have wounded me to the heart." "Never mind it, for I see you once more," said the old man. "And now it is all over. Everything is all right again." "Yes, here I am," said the young man, "with a promising future and a little money. Here, father, take," he said. "Take this, take it, and send for something immediately." And he emptied his pockets on the table. The contents consisted of a dozen gold pieces, 5 franc pieces, and some smaller coin. The countenance of old Dantès brightened. "Whom does this belong to?" he inquired. "To me, to you, to us. Take it, buy some provisions, be happy, and tomorrow we shall have more." "Gently, gently," said the old man with a smile, "and by your leave I will use your purse moderately, for they would have say, if they saw me buy too many things at a time, that I have been obliged to await your return in order to be able to purchase them." "Do as you please, but first of all, pray have a servant, father. I will not have you left alone so long." I have some smuggled coffee, and most capital tobacco, and a small chest in the hold, which you shall have tomorrow. But hush, here comes somebody. Cataros, who has heard of your arrival, and no doubt comes to congratulate you on your fortune return. Ah, lips that say say one thing while the heart thinks another, murmured Edmund. But never mind, he is a neighbor who has done us a service on the time, so he's welcome. As Edmund paused, the black and bearded head of Cataros appeared at the door. He was a man of 25 or 6 and held a piece of cloth, which, being a tailor, he was about to make into a coat lining. What, is it you, Edmund? Back again? Said he with a broad Marseillese accent and a grin that displayed his ivory white teeth. Yes, as you see, neighbor Cataros, and ready to be agreeable to you in any and every way, replied Dantès, but ill concealing his coldness under the cloak of civility. Thanks, but fortunately I do not want for anything. It chances that at times there are others who have need of me. Dantès made a gesture. I do not allude to you, my boy. No. I lent you money, and you returned it. That's like good neighbors, and we are quits. We are never quits with those who oblige us, was Dantès' reply. For when we do not owe them money, we owe them gratitude. What's the use of mentioning that? What is done is done. Let us talk of your happy return, my boy. I had gone on the quay to match a piece of mulberry cloth when I met friend Danclair. You at Marseille? Yes, says he. I thought you were at Smyrna. I was, but am now back again. And where's the dear boy, our little Edmond? Well, why, with his father, no doubt, replied Danclair. And so I came, added Cataros, as fast as I could, to have the pleasure of shaking hands with a friend. Worthy Cataros, said the old man. He is so much attached to us. Yes, to be sure I am. I love and esteem you, because honest folk are so rare. But it seems you have come back rich, my boy, continuing the tailor, looking askance at the handful of gold and silver which Dantès had thrown on the table. The young man remarked the greedy glance which shone in the dark eyes of his neighbor. He said negligently, this money is not mine. I was expressing to my father my fears that he had wanted many things in my absence, and to convince me he emptied his purse on the table. Come, father, added Dantès, put this money back in your box, unless neighbor Cataros wants anything, and in that case it is at his service. No, my boy, no, said Cataros. I am not in any want. Thank God, my living is suited to my means. Keep your money. Keep it, I say. One never has too much. But at the same time, my boy, I am as much obliged by your offer as I took advantage of it. It was offered with good will, said Dantès. No doubt, my boy, no doubt. Well, you stand well with Monsieur Morel, I hear. You insinuating dog, you. Monsieur Morel has always been exceedingly kind to me, replies Dantès. Then you are wrong to refuse to dine with him. What, did you refuse to dine with him? What, did you refuse to dine with him? Said the old Dantès. And did he invite you to dine? Yes, my dear father, replied Edmund, smiling at his father's astonishment at the excessive honor paid to his son. And why did you refuse, my son? Inquired the old man. Then I might the sooner see you again, my dear father, replied the young man. I was most anxious to see you. But it must have vexed Monsieur Morel, good worthy man, said Cataros, and when you are looking forward to be captain, it was wrong to annoy the owner. But I explained to him the cause of my refusal, replied Dantès, and I hope he fully understood it. Yes, but to be captain one must do a little flattery to one's patrons. I hope to be captain without that, said Dantès. So much the better, so much the better. Nothing will give greater pleasure to all your old friends, and I know one down there behind the Saint Nicolas citadel who will not do sorry to hear it. Mercedes? Said the old man. Yes, my dear father, and with your permission now I have seen you, and now you are well and have all you require. I will ask your consent to go and pay a visit to the Catalans. Go, my boy, said old Dantès, and heaven bless you and your wife, as it has blessed me and my son. His wife, said Cataros. Why, how fast you go on, Father Dantès. She is not his wife yet, as it seems to me. No, but according to all probability, she soon will be, replied Edmond. Yes, said Cataros, but you were right to return as soon as possible, my boy. And why? Because Mercedes is a fine girl, and fine girls never lack followers. She particularly has them by the dozens. Really? Answered Edmund with a smile which had a trace of slight uneasiness. Ah, yes, continued Cataros, and capital offers too, but you know you will be captain, and who could refuse you then? Meaning to say, replied Dantes with a smile which but ill concealed his trouble, that if I were not a captain. Said Cataros, shaking his head. Come, come, said the sailor, I have better opinion than you of women in general, and of Mercedes in particular. And I am certain that, captain or no, she will remain ever faithful to me. So much the better, so much the better, said Cataros. When one is going to be married, there's nothing like implicit confidence. But never mind that, my boy. Go and announce your arrival, and let her know all your hopes and prospects. I will go directly, was Edmund's reply, and embracing his father and nodding to Cataros, he left the apartment. Cataros lingered for a moment, then taking leave of old Dantes, he went downstairs to rejoin Danclair, who awaited him at the corner of the Rue Sonac. Well, said Danclair, did you see him? I just left him, answered Cataros. Do you allude to his hope of being captain? He spoke of it as a thing already decided. Indeed, said Danclair. He is in too much hurry, it appears to me. Why, it seems Mr. Morel has promised him the thing. So that he is quite elated about it? Why, yes, he is actually insolent over the matter. He's already offered me his patronage as if he were a grand personage, and proffered me a loan of money as though he were a banker. Which you refused. Most assuredly, although I might easily have accepted it, for it was I who put into his hands the first silver he ever earned. But now Monsieur Dantes is no longer any occasion for assistance. He's about to become a captain. Pooh, said Danglars, he is not one yet. Ma foi, it will be as well if he is not, answered Cataros, for he should be. There will be really no speaking to him. If we choose, replied Danglars, he will remain what he is, and perhaps become even less than he is. What do you mean? Nothing. I was speaking to myself. And is he still in love with that Catalane? Over head and ears, but unless I am much mistaken, there will be a storm in that quarter. Explain yourself. Why should I? It is more important that you think perhaps you do not like Dantes. I never like upstarts. Then tell me all you know about the Catalane. I know nothing for certain, only I have seen things which induce me to believe, as I have told you, that the future captain will find some annoyance in the vicinity of the Vieille infirmaries. What have you seen? Come, tell me. Well, every time I have seen Mercedes come into the city, she has been accompanied by a tall, strapping, black-eyed Catalan, with a red complexion, brown skin, and fierce hair, whom she calls cousin. Really? And do you think this cousin pays her attentions? I only suppose so. What else can a strapping chap of 21 mean with a fine wench of 17? And you say that Dantes has gone to the Catalans? He went before I came down. Let us go to the same way. We will stop at Les Reserves, and we can drink a glass of La Monge while we wait for the news. Come along, said Cataros, but you pay the score. Of course, replied Danclair, and going quickly to the designated place, they called for a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. Pere Pamphile had seen Dantes pass not 10 minutes before, and assured that he was at the Catalans, they sat down under the budding foliage of the planes and sycamores, and the branches of which the birds were singing their welcome to one of their first days of spring.